Welcome. Welcome, everybody. I'm letting everybody get situated here. So excited. I have an imposter here for this Details University class. I invited CeCe Todd, Queen of Pink, but I'm not sure who this wildcat is that showed up here on this February special edition because Matt, introduce yourself to me because where's CeCe?
I am CeCe's alter ego, the girl that nobody knows. Um, People always joke. They're like, "Do you wear that everywhere?" I'm like, "Yeah, if I want anybody to not know who I am, all I have to do is wear like non-pink and not put my flower in my hair, and nobody knows who I am." So I did this. Hello, everyone. Yes, I am CeCe, even though it doesn't look like it. But
Yeah.
I did this to prove a point because what are we talking about today?
We are talking all about branding, and your identity is how you put yourself out in the world. So I was very much like, what is
You're like,
CeCe got going on here? Where's the pink? That's the first thing I said. So I love your attention to
right.
yeah.
So for everybody that's logging on that thought, what the HE double hockey six is going on, that is exactly what I wanted you to think. I wanted you to be like, what's happening with this whole, who is this woman?
I
This is
didn't even
literally,
recognize you without your pink statement flower piece. What's
yes.
going on?
So hold on. Talk to everybody. Talk amongst
Okay.
yourself for 2 seconds.
All right. So this month we are changing it up. We are calling it Details University now. So instead of masterclass, we're gonna forget about that, but Details University. And we're speaking with CeCe Todd of CeCe Designs. She's out of Birmingham, Alabama. If you've ever gone anywhere in the wedding industry to hear people speak, CeCe is always a headliner. She's so much fun. She gives really straight talk on the floral industry, and she is known as the Queen of Pink. So as you can see, when we did a Zoom call with her, my daughter was like, her house is in pink. It's all in pink. And I was like, yes, she lives and breathes pink. So when she showed up here in blue, which she's off screen, I think doing a quick change. So master, well, there she is. My gosh,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome, CeCe. There you are.
I
It's
mean,
like a
it just felt
Barbie.
there was no way I could do the whole thing like that. I felt very broken. I was like, I just have to prove the point and then change.
Yeah, well, you are always known for showing up and you can always tell exactly where you are. And I think a lot of online personalities and celebrities kind of do that same thing. And wherever you go, I always know it's you because you've got the statement pink flower and usually a very pink, sparkly dress on, I must say.
I know. I think
Very
I see
bold.
you. Hold on. I just realized my table's crooked. So that's making me crooked. I'm like, wait a minute. Why
You
am I
look
so
great.
crooked?
You look great.
I'm
So,
wearing
hi, everybody, this is CeCe and I'm Corrine. So, we're just going to get right into it. CeCe, let everybody know who you are if they have never met you before and they're just tuning in
well,
for
God bless you. If you've never met me anymore, I like to always tell people adjust the volume and read the disclaimer before we get started. But I am a very high energy, over the top wedding and event designer. I've been doing this for over 20 years now. Yes, I started when I was 7. I know
Mhm.
it's hard to believe.
Okay.
And I, like you read my bio. I mean, I was on a TV show with HGTV with Martha Stewart. I do weddings for God, all kinds of VIP professional
I think I read
athletes.
Ariana Grande, Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. I mean,
Oh my
best
God.
human I've ever met, like most entertaining human I've ever met.
Who's to
Um, yeah,
CeCe?
but now I spend the majority of my time still doing some weddings, but really educating. Like my passion is educating the future of floral design and teaching, speaking. I love being on a stage. I love just passing on everything I've learned from the debacles that I went. Like my tagline for CC School is I made the mistake so that you don't have to. But not getting ahead of ourselves, it's kind of funny because the more I think about that, the more I think the mistakes are what make me,
Yeah.
So some people
Well,
stuff
those
to
are things
make their
to talk
mistakes.
about.
I'm just going to try to keep you from making like the BS ones that you don't have to make.
Yeah, well, that's always appreciated. If you can listen to somebody else's oopses and you don't have to do the same things, that's part of the challenge and the battle that we all go through. But,
Right?
you're a veteran. You've been here. You've probably seen every different scenario, as you can imagine, when it comes to events and special occasions and flowers. You
There's not
started,
much I hadn't.
yeah, you started in the entertainment industry, if
Right.
I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was Growing up, I thought I was going to be Patsy Cline
Yeah.
reincarnate. I wanted to be a country singer. But when I went to Nashville, they said I sounded like a 300-pound Black woman and that there was no place. I had a very gospel voice.
Yeah.
And
At
there
the,
was really, at the time, no place for me there. The Dixie Chicks and other people like that hadn't happened yet. So
mm,
then I tried to sing R&B and they were like, well, hold up, you white girl. So then I landed really where my heart was super happy and had a gospel and R&B contract. Sang there. And then went through a hellacious divorce, and I'm very transparent about this. In the middle of making my first album, I just said I felt like such a phony going in and singing about the praises of Jesus when I was very mad at him,
yeah.
because my wedding of 11, I mean, my marriage of 11 years was falling apart to an alcoholic, abusive man. And I just walked away, never went back. I mean, I don't have many regrets, one of the regrets, but then still not really a regret because I've always said that God intended me to be on a stage and to use my voice.
Yeah.
Um, but even though I hijacked it, he was like, I'm still gonna get you there, just in a different way.
Yeah. Well, we never know the plans that are in store for us in our life. And the best opportunities come when you least expect them, right?
Right? When you quit trying to plan your life and let it just happen. So yeah, absolutely.
And I think your destiny finds you eventually. If it's not one trip around the mountain, it's the next trip around. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, finally got you here. So
Yes, and that's what I say. Like I say that all the time. Like God has a plan for you, I think, and it's your choice on whether you take the long way to get or whether you take the short way to get there. Both ways are gonna get you there. Just one's gonna be like rocky terrain, and one's gonna be like the bullet jet there. And it seems like most of us choose the much more rockier way to get there.
oh, it's way more fun, isn't it? Yeah, at the end of the day. So how did you get into the floral industry? And I guess tell us how you got there, because I'm not sure if you stumbled into your brand or you like as soon as you started your company, did you know this is the way you want to present yourself, or where did you get your start?
Well, those are kind of two totally different things. So I'll try to combine them and make them short though. I unlike what seems to be everybody else in the wedding industry, I actually had like I went and got training somewhere before before I opened my own business. I know that's shocking, but and I make that sound like it was all pre-planned. It was not. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Um, During my singing career, it was hard to have, I couldn't have a full-time job that paid anything, and I hated working retail. And so I thought I just got married and I was like, I could do this. And so I thought I'm going to ask them to teach me how to do flowers. And I went to the flower shop that did my wedding.
Mm.
And he was like, no, I don't have time to train anybody. You don't know how to, no, 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 no. And so I, just like every other human in my life, just went back and harassed him until I got the answer that I wanted. And finally he was like, fine, shut up. I will teach you how to do flowers. So I worked in a flower shop for 5 years, became the manager, the buyer over all the weddings immediately. And it was so funny. The first time he sent me in to go do a wedding, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he was like, you just got married, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, just do that. And so like the first 5 weddings I ever did just looked just like mine. So if anybody wanted anything different, I was like, no, that we don't know how to do that. Because that was all I do was my own wedding. Fast forward to I did not want that to be my career. And I was still trying to make a singing career and back and forth in Nashville all the time. So that was always just something I kind of went back to. And how people go wait tables if they need extra money. I could just go work in a flower shop, right? Fast forward to I was divorced and really kind of lost, not really knowing what I wanted to do. I had gotten into pharmaceutical sales after medical sales because I thought that was going to be like the job because everybody talked about it so wonderful. And I
Yeah.
accomplished it, and then I hated it.
Oh,
So I quit my job, went to go work as a casting director in movies. I worked on the movie 42.
wow.
And while I was on 42, I'd already met my husband, but found out I was pregnant.
Oh.
When they told me I couldn't have any children because I had a brain tumor. Funny story.
Oh,
Um, I had a hyperprolactin pituitary adenoma, which apparently went away Wound up pregnant, didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. My mom was like, well, let's start doing flowers. And I was like, yeah, no, no, people don't do flowers out of like, I don't want to open a flower shop. And she was like, no, no, like, let's just do weddings
Mhm.
and you'll have more time for your baby. And like, we'll do all these things and you'll work from home. And I was like, sounds great. This is why they tell you not to make major decisions when you're pregnant, because it's just, you're not thinking clearly, at least, while you're pregnant and 20 years after. And so I was like, sure, this sounds like a great idea. So we started CeCe Designs. Bella would go down to the floral house, the flower house, and just sit in that little swing, to
Yeah.
rock her to sleep, where she would be on my back while I was designing. And then that's kind of how CeCe Designs was born. We did our very first wedding when she was 3 months old. I had 25 weddings my first year. So definitely God was like, got you
Wow.
there. This is it. So it just kind of took off. And then probably about a year in, when I decided that this was not exactly how I wanted it to go and I was in it for world domination, my mom was like, deuces, I'm out. And then that's kind of what led us here.
Wow. Yeah. So your mom stepped away from the business pretty early on. And
Right.
where do you think that you were booking all those early weddings? Because doing 25 in your first year is pretty solid gold, I would say. Like you had a magic kind of formula for that. What were you doing that brought on that earliest clients?
God and hustling, both. And my mom. I mean, my mom was that embarrassing mom. Like we thought I was Jewish for like the longest time. We thought I had like a just, like it would explain kind of the Jewish mom mentality. I'm not. Because my mom was just that mom that would ask, and like she would roll up to people's houses and be like, I want that in your front yard. Will you sell it to me? And I'm like shrinking down. So having her as kind
That's
of like my
me.
tag team partner, right? She would ask anybody, and oh, you're getting married? She'd hunt people down on the beach, be like, oh my God, you need to use my daughter. She's amazing. So she was like the biggest PR person ever known to man. So between that and God, it was just insane. And it was just, and I had the broken new florist mentality, which everybody does, which was take anything and everything to just get a bio, right?
Right.
Just to say I've done, even though I'd worked in a flower shop for years prior to that wasn't my work. It was outdated. I still had everything in like a photo album and people didn't even do that anymore, right? So, I mean, I had to kind of build it and I had no guidance. There was no Facebook groups. There were no details. There
Yeah.
was no place to like go and get knowledge. So I had to just wing it and just kind of figure it out. But then when I realized that there was more and all the mistakes like that I was burning out. I was doing 25 weddings and still not making any money,
Right.
still, breastfeeding and angry. I mean, I was just like, that is something wrong. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of really second part of your question where my brand started to develop and where I started realizing there was a lot more to what I was doing and maybe I was not going about it the right way. So I had to find what I was doing wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a lot of self-discovery, especially in those early years, but I was there too. I mean, it's just hustle, however you could bring the money in. And one wedding was paying off the next wedding that was going to take place. And I feel
Yes.
like we'll get into that cycle of, oh my gosh, I got to keep taking the work, but I haven't just quite figured out what that magic number is or how do
Yes.
I, that's
And
right.
do you have those things that you think about that came out of your mouth and you cringe now because you just didn't know any better? Because one of
Oh,
the ones that still rings in my brain is when people would come to me and be like, well, I called so and so and she had a $3,000 minimum. And I was like, who does she think she is? I can do it for way less, and I don't have a $3,000 minimum.
yeah.
Thinking, how cool was I? Now I have a $10,000 minimum. Now
Well,
I understand why that hussy had a $3,000 minimum. But I mean, I think about those cringe moments that I was like, oh my God, I should have just kept my mouth shut.
where did you start your company at? What city were you in?
I was in Birmingham and
Okay.
we started over my mother's garage.
Okay.
And and it was over my mother's garage for the first 3 years.
Wow.
And so it was super funny, kind of when I mean, I didn't know anything about business and didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I never like it was not a goal. I didn't finish college. It was just not a thing. So I remember, like I said, in that self-discovery first year, I just realized that mom and popping everything wasn't going to get it. I mean, it's so funny. If anybody on here has ever attended one of my talks to where I'm talking about branding, you probably have seen my very first business cards, which I did myself. and they had a duck on the front of them. Yes, they had a duck because the only pictures I had were this bridal show that I had done. That I was so proud of the flowers that was sitting on top of a wooden barrel with a duck walking in front of it. And so like everybody'd be like, "Oh, so you the one with the duck?" I'd be like, "Yeah." Like, what about a duck in a wooden barrel dude screams me, right?
Yeah.
The it was Vistaprint free everything. It said Vistaprint free on the back. Like it was just all the wrong things. But after that year, I realized we've got to invest. I mean, like I remember just being so hungry and wanting to know everything and watching people do what I wanted and just going to them and being like, well, where did you get that? Why do you have that? What does that mean? And that's how I found out about branding. And then I remember going to my mom being like, we need to get branded. And she was like, what? Like a cattle? And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like it's this thing. And no, we don't have that kind of money. And I was like, well, we won't have that kind of money unless we get branded. So we did that whole chicken and the egg thing. And finally I just won out. And so I went and talked to a fabulous woman who still does paper and branding now. It's called Paper House, and it's Amberly Shelton. She's got a new last name now. I'm totally closed off at what it is. But I remember meeting with her and being like, I need to be branded. And she was like, yeah, and not having the money to afford it. So getting the bare minimum of what she would do. And I remember she read me like a dirty magazine and I just loved it because she would like she asked me a few questions, but then she just disappeared and 3 days later came back and knew exactly what I wanted and read the flower at that time. I had the flower in my hair and all the things and knew it. The only place she missed the mark, and I'm trying to wrap this up. The only place she missed the mark was I said I wanted pink branding. And she didn't miss the mark. She had to do this because it taught me a valuable lesson, right? It really helped me get into who I was. It was iconic in becoming who I am. But I really wanted pink branding and I wanted hot pink branding. And I remember her saying, that's just not going to fly in the wedding industry. Like it that's not elegant and you need elegant, you need timeless, you need, and I was like, I don't want to do baby pink. Like everybody's doing baby pink. Like I am hot pink. And she was like, and she really, really pushed on me. And I knew what I didn't know was kind of dangerous, right? So I subsided. It was one of the only times I self-doubted, right? But it was
Right.
also what really convinced me that I knew what I needed. And so when she first designed my logo and everything, if anybody can find it, it's very rare you can find it. But if you find first copies of my logo, it's like a coral salmony color because
Mm.
that was as much
She was
hot.
as much as she was giving you.
That was as
You
much as she was giving me, right? And I hated it for like I loved everything about it, but I hated the color. So every time I would post it, I would alter, like I would go in and alter it and brighten it up, just a little bit and then a little bit more until I kept adjusting the color to turn it pink. And then I kept writing everything in pink. And it was funny because probably about 3 years after that, she finally was like, hey, we need to meet and we just need to go ahead and just permanently change your logo to CC Pink. We're going to pick out I was wrong. You were right. You owned it. You worked it. You made it happen. I've learned my lesson. I don't know why I ever doubted you, but we need to make it official. And it was like this big day, and we laughed and took pictures of the official CC Pink, hot pink color. And she was like, girl, you've owned it. Like, you taught me that sometimes I need to just go with the flow, give people what they need because if they're that determined, they're going to make it work. And then it officially became the hot pink that everybody calls CC Pink, but I had to fight for it.
Yeah. And I think it's a good intuition, though, on your part, because you kind of knew where you wanted to go. And I think a lot of people have that so much self-doubt that they often don't explore those areas because they're like, I think I should just say this. This is the way everybody else is doing it. But when you walk into a sea of beige or ivory, what stands out is the pink. And so I always feel like that's something to kind of take note of. Listen to where your heart's leading you and don't be
I mean,
afraid.
every time I see something details, I'm like, oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. And I mean, it is because it's pink, but it's because it always stands out, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so like easy to pop. So you and I have pretty similar colors. My original floral room was pink and white striped, so that was like crazy. But I liked it, and it got me attention too. So I feel like it's all about figuring yourself out, right?
all day long. Right. You got to just own it. You just got to embrace what's yours. Because just like you said, I mean, I don't know if you had this happen, but I had so many people try to change me and tell me how I needed to break who I was to fit into this mold. I
Yeah.
guarantee you, you as a woman in tech, getting into this industry, God, I can't even imagine how many times people told you, you know, what you had to break about yourself, what you had to change about yourself, what you had to be different about. And if I know anything about you, Corrine, I know that you probably eventually were like, you can suck it a lot like me. But
Maybe not in those words, but inside. You know, I once had a gentleman who told me that I shouldn't smile when I was up on stage, like giving pitches, because it was like not what we do in a business like thing is like smile about something. I was like, I don't know how. I mean, I usually have resting bitch face, so I'm like surprised that he was saying that. But you know, you got to be yourself at the end of the day, and if that's what comes across, is that's what comes across. And I always love your humor. Like I feel like you bring so much good energy, and you just make it really easy for people to enjoy the type of maybe difficult conversations or things too. So I think that's part of your
I mean, I
brand.
think, thank you. That's so sweet. And I think that humor diffuses a lot of tough conversations, but it doesn't come without even your own mom and people being like, you're just so loud. You're just so
Yeah.
over the top. You're never going to do luxury weddings if
You're
you
never,
don't.
you're too much,
You're,
CeCe. Come
yeah, you're
on.
just too much. Nobody's ever going to want to have you on a stage. The people with money aren't going to like, that's not, they don't like that. And I mean, it was just told to me, just beaten into me to where I was just trying so hard to be somebody that I wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was the day that I was just like, you know what? Screw it. Like, this is just tiring. Like, I was just, if this is what I have to do to be in the industry that I want to be in, I don't want to be in it. Like, it's just too much to try to remember, like, cross your legs and put your hands down and don't interrupt and don't be loud and just don't be excited to see anybody. Don't be like, woo, just, when you turn on the video, be like, hi guys, I'm CeCe. Don't be like, be like, it was just too much. And so I was just like, screw it. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I mean, maybe it's my ADHD, maybe it's but I was just like, I can't do it anymore. And I was like, either they're going to love me or they're going to hate me. And let me tell you, a lot of people hated me, but more people loved me. And I became their sole person, right? Because I just let loose and was like who I was. And I was okay with that. And the day I say all the time, the day that I stopped being who I thought everybody thought I should be and started just being who I was the day that I bloomed into CeCe. Like that's when everything fit into place. That's when everything just locked in and took off. And I'd spent so long fighting it that I was like, well, that was a waste of time. But I mean, I just became me and I am unfiltered, unhinged, over the top, will tell you things that you might not want to hear, but I try to do it in the softest, sweetest way. And I'll tell you, I love you afterwards. But I mean, like, and I don't follow the rules usually.
How did Martha Stewart on Table Wars relate to you?
Oh, I think I scared her a little bit, but I mean, she hangs out with Snoop. It couldn't be that
I
bad,
know. I mean,
right?
come on now. She's really great with that. I love her. She's my is
Well,
my
my
hero. Especially
my
if she
funniest story from HGTV and dealing with Martha was, I just get into the zone when I'm working, especially when I'm under time crunches and pressure and all the things. And I remember we were doing a design and I was spinning my roses trying to get them open.
oh yeah.
And there had already been like chaos and problems, and they had me in the wrong spot. And I had to stop production and stand up for myself and be like, this is wrong. Like, everybody else has this, and I don't have this, and y'all messed up. And finally, they had to like be like, okay, you're right. And so there was already just stress and turmoil. And so now I'm trying to get caught up. I'm trying to do the design. I'm spinning my roses. I'm sweating. I've already taken my shirt off. I'm like, I can't believe I'm on TV and they're going to see that I'm my flappy arms. Like, this, all the things I'm thinking while I'm designing. And Tamara Mowry walks up and she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm spinning my roses. Because at this point, you're like, please don't talk to me. All right. I'm trying to win a competition. I did not know Martha was on her heels, nor did I even think about even Tamara. I mean, it just came out of my mouth. And she was like, why are you spinning roses? And I was like, to open them. And she was like, why? I was like, because in the wedding industry, we do not like bullets or buttholes. About that time, when I looked up at her, I realized Martha was standing right behind her. And Martha goes, excuse me? And Tamara goes, loved her. She was my like spirit sister. She goes, "What did you just say?" And I went, "I said in the wedding industry." And she looked at Martha and she goes, "She needs to say that again, right?" Martha goes, "No, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
we're good." I was
Yeah.
like, "We don't like tiny little roses, and so we spin them to open them." And Tamara, and like Martha just kind of like turned and just walked away, and Tamara was like,
Yeah, I
and
thought
so
you
I think after that, Martha was just like, but she did say the sweetest thing to me, like that didn't make it on the show, and I was so sad. But when I did wind up leaving, I thought she hated me, but she actually stopped in the middle of the production and made them start rolling again to say some of the sweetest things that anybody's probably ever said to me. And it really left a huge impact on me.
yeah. What did she say?
Um, well, I was the first one to go. If anybody has seen Table Wars, all seven of y'all. I do like to joke that the day I left, they it got bumped to like a different station off HGTV, and I was like, I shouldn't let me go. Like you had high ratings when I was on. But I was the first one to go, and I was out of my league the moment I walked on that set, and I realized that I was competing against people that built roller coasters and parade floats, and I'm like, I design flowers, right?
Yeah.
So I was the first one to go, and they asked me if I had any regrets, and I said no. I said I don't I don't have regrets. I said, B, I said B, when you I said, I'm 40, I can't remember what I was, maybe 45 at the time, 46 years old. I said, how many times in your life do you get to experience something for the first time at my age? Like all of our firsts are gone, right? And this is
Mhm.
such an iconic experience. I got to experience this by myself, alone. I said, but more than anything, I said, I will never regret a moment that I stepped away from my life, my business, my family by myself and well, one day my daughter will be able to look back at it and be like, my mom did that. I was like, I proved to my daughter that there is nothing that she can't do, no matter at what age, no matter how scary it feels, no matter how uncomfortable it is, no matter what, that you're never too old to try something new and go experience it and be grateful for the moments that you had there. And she will always have this after I'm long gone. She will always have this to look back and be like, that was my mom at almost 50 years old, stepping out of every being of her comfort zone to go do this. And I said, and I loved, no, there's no regret ever. And they were like, okay, cut. And Martha started to say something. And she goes, could you start rolling again? And he goes, Martha wants to roll. Martha speaks, everybody jumps. And she goes, I just want to let you know. She goes, out of every show I've ever been on, she goes, you're the most gracious, most amazing and have the best viewpoint on life and how to leave a show gracefully. She goes, I have never seen anybody step away and leave with as much grace and empowerment as you have. And she goes, and I am very proud of you. And she goes, it has left an impact on me. And I mean, I was already crying because I was going home, and then I was just sobbing. And
Yeah.
I just thought it was, just reminds you everything's for a reason.
Yeah. Hey, but she's an icon, especially for our industry. Much like you. I mean, I see people when we are at these shows, like lines of people just wanting a picture. And I'm like, wow, look at CeCe. Because I just think of you as just such a wonderful person. But people like come up with you with stars in their eyes, like they are meeting their idol. And what does that feel like? You know?
I mean, there's a part of it that feels awkward. As
Yeah.
weird as that sounds, a lot of people don't believe that. Because I just like everybody else have imposter syndrome. They're like, why would anybody want to? Then there's the whole other flip side that's like, damn straight, I was born for stardom, right? But then there's the whole other part that really is the majority of it
Mhm.
that I think is what attracts people to me, which is I genuinely love people loving me because I've imparted something or given something to them, right? There's
Yeah.
no better way to realize your purpose in this life than for somebody to come up to you and be like, what you said here changed my life. What you did this day made me decide to stay. What I was going to the moments that you never in a million years thought impacted anybody. And it's addictive. It's addictive in a good way to make you because we all self-doubt, right? Everybody self-doubts. Is this where I'm supposed to be? Do I need to still be doing this? Does anybody care what I have to say? And it seems like always on the days that I'm feeling that, somebody shows up somewhere and is like, you just don't understand. I needed that. It might not be that I'm imparting the most best design wisdom, right? Or the most crazy business um information. It's that I care. I genuinely care. I
Yeah.
love you. Even if I'm not with you, I love you. I value you. I see you. I know how important what you're trying to do is. I know your struggle, and I will take the time to love on you and be there for you. And I think that that is not in our world as much as it should be. So I
Mm.
really believe that that is why people are so attracted to me, because I see them and I see what they need, and I think they can tell that God's inside of me, and that I love them, and that I value them, and I truly genuine for good and for bad. And so it makes me feel amazing, and it, like I said, more than anything, it just reminds me that the path that I've been put on is the right one. And if you live your whole entire life and just one time find somebody to tell you that what you did, there was a reason why you were born, right? That was one of the reasons to be
Oh,
there for them. Like, if you get just one of those in your lifetime, you can die a happy person. I get hundreds of those, and it is, I just can't even explain it.
I feel like, especially during the pandemic, oftentimes, like I would tune in to your broadcast because you would do so many lives, which I miss from you. So we got to talk on that a little bit. But I felt that was part of your brand because it was always just like a good, happy place. And if I was just wanting to watch someone make florals, because I don't do as many flowers as I have in the past, which is kind of a blessing.
Right.
And I miss it as well. But I could always know I could turn into your show and watch you spinning your roses or just talking, singing. And you had so much great dialogue, I felt like happened there. So I feel like you created like a very big community and followers who are just regularly like kind of good nature TV. You might turn on a cooking show just to feel like I don't have to watch anything that's like high stress or anxiety. I felt like the same with you during a lot of that. So, and whenever I would tune in, I'd be like, oh, you're always like saying hello. I would always be
I
like,
love that. No, see, that's the stories I live for. Like, I love that people always say that didn't matter whether you were in the floral industry or just a housewife sitting at home, trying to not murder your kids, like whatever. People just would just like to just sit and watch, because they didn't know if I was going to spontaneously combust or set myself on fire that day.
I feel like
Right?
that's that's also part of it. But um, so when people are, do you ever have doubts about like the direction
Yes.
your brand is going, or how can you mix it up? Or maybe there's people who want to reinvent themselves. Like any advice to like how they might do that?
Catch me in about a year.
Okay.
Um, I mean, yes and no. So where I am now is in a very tumultuous, and if people know me, they know I am transparent. I do not hide anything. And the place that I am in now and have been in for probably the past 2 years has been very tumultuous, very uncertain, very chaotic and upended. It's been very hard, and it's because, for that exact reason, I don't know where my brand is going. I have felt very clear signs that God has closed certain doors, right? But can I get an amen from anybody out there that's like, we
Yeah.
can hear the doors being slammed, but sometimes the doors being open, we're like, hello, are there
Yeah.
any open doors? And so I am in that place right now of just uncertainty. And yes, I think you should always evolve. Your brand should always evolve. You should always evolve. Do I want to continue to do weddings all the time as my main source of income? No, I really don't.
Well, I have
Uh,
to say it's like very rigorous though. I mean,
it
I don't think people realize how much stress on the body it puts in, the mental taxation. Like dealing with clients day in, day out is hard work. And so much kudos to all the people that are on here that are doing this every day, like, because it's such a hard job. But you have to find, as you get older, especially, is like, where do you steer this, or what knowledge can you give to someone that's young and is really like hungry for that kind of work, because it ain't easy.
It's
Yeah.
not. And I don't think, and what most people think about is exactly what you said, the events themselves, the taxing the clients. Yes, that's all the time, right? So that's never going to go away. But I
Mm.
think what did it for me was I had spent 11 years almost building a business and a brand to what I deemed for me personally the pinnacle of success, right? I'd done everything I wanted to do. Everybody within, that I cared about knew who I was. I was a known name in my industry. Like I was doing famous people's weddings. I was making good money, right? And then COVID came and wiped it all out from underneath me, right? And then I was left on the backside of COVID being like, do I want to do that all over again? And let me
Mm.
tell you, at 30 is one thing. At 47 is a totally different beast, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't have it in me. I did not the mere thought of having to kind of not really start from scratch, but start from scratch. I mean, I didn't really have a staff. I couldn't keep anybody employed. I wasn't making enough money. I had to like I had to make all these choices for my business to keep the brand alive, right? And so
Mm.
now my main struggles weren't even that the clients were driving me batshit crazy. It was that I can't get anybody to come to work. Everything
Mm.
costs 10 times more than it is. Everything I do, I'm not making any money. All my money's coming in and more's going out, right? I don't have a good staff. I don't have a good assistant. I don't have anybody helping me run CeCe school. And it was just like, I could not handle the fact that for me to be successful, I had created a place that I was dependent on all these other people that needed to do their jobs, right? And it caused me so much anxiety, so much frustration. And and even to the point to where I was like, oh, well, I mean, I did this by myself at the beginning, right? But at the beginning of by myself in 2013, it was not the CeCe designs that I was trying to do like it wasn't the same. It's totally different beast here, right?
Yeah.
And it was killing me,
Yeah.
killing
I
me.
mean, I feel like good help is really difficult to find these days and age,
Yeah.
especially with how grueling and tedious the work can be. And it's also on the weekends, so it's like a lot of times people that are young and able don't want to work on the weekends. So
No.
it's
And
such a
I had a 10-year-old at that point or an 8-year-old that I never saw, that Greg was Mr. Mom. And I started remembering that in the beginning, I would always say that I was only going to do this for a few years until Bella was old enough to really need her mom, right? But the difference was that I thought that in a few years I will have like this empire that will just like run itself and I'll be a billionaire, right? Um, well, at that point, we hadn't hit that. COVID came and kind of destroyed it. But I was at that 10-year mark. I had like I said, a 9, 10-year-old that nobody, I mean, I wasn't able to go to her field trips and stuff like that. And she really was getting to the point she needed her mom. So I decided that the new evolution of my brand was somehow going to be CeCe the mom with CeCe as the speaker, educator, teacher somehow on as the
Mhm.
part-time instead of vice versa. I go to dance competitions now. I've got one this weekend, right? I told my husband I
I
was going to
think
stop.
yeah, I mean, your priorities obviously change, but so I see a lot of people when they start companies, it's all around their name. So would you like encourage people to do that, or would you encourage them to do some other, like, bumblebee flowers or something, rather than like having your name attached to the business? Do you think that makes a big difference in people's branding names, as far as like sellability later down the road?
Yes and no. Let me tell you why. More no. And this is why.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was called Donkey Butt Designs, right? I mean, I ain't got nothing tangible really to sell except for goods, right? I am the business. right?
Mm,
Even my staff doesn't necessarily mean they're going to transmit. If we were in a business to where our, like, this is not the industry, I think, as a designer, a planner, more maybe that, or a caterer, but not as a floral designer. I don't think it's the most tangible industry to create something to sell off. Too many people can just go open a floral design business. What do you have to sell them? We don't have repeat customers very rarely, right?
yeah.
So it's not like you're selling them a book of business like an insurance company. So the long short of it is I lean more towards no, I don't think it matters because you're not set. I don't, unless you just come up with this super unique thing, you don't have anything tangible really to sell people. Nobody's going to buy CeCe designs for me because it's CeCe. Like I said, no matter what it was named, they would just go start their own floral design business. As a wedding planner, you probably have a little bit more leg to stand on there. Selling a wedding planning company, catering company, still a photographer. No, you don't really have a
Yeah.
business to sell. So no, name it whatever you want to name it because I'm not saying it won't happen, but the it's just we're not in the business of creating companies like you've created details that you could step away and really sell. So you have to figure out, I think what you were kind of starting to get to earlier, you have to figure out what does that transition look for you. It's not going to be more than likely selling your business. So what does that, I mean, there aren't a lot of 70-year-old floral designers out there. I wonder why. So what does that transition look like? If you're saying I probably can't sell my business, CeCe, but
No, well, I mean, I feel like it's a huge topic of discussion, especially when people get down to like that succession planning or so far. But I mean, I guess speaking back to the brand, like how do we come up to like decide what brand we need to go with and stick with as people are starting their businesses or even evolving in their businesses?
well, if I had to give somebody a suggestion of a way to do it, I if there's a way to run your first business, I mean your first year business without hardcore branding it, I totally would, right?
Hmm.
I would start teetering around in the job that you want to do for a while before you even name your business, right? In a perfect world. Because so many people, I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And most people, will create their company's name and it'll be like exquisite floral affairs and it's spelled with all the Z's. And then they wonder why like they're not taken seriously. What sounded great, before they got in the wedding industry, and then they got in the wedding industry and saw how bougie everybody was and was like, well, that's not working, right? So there's a lot of mistakes made before you ever get in it. And so, I mean, we could do a whole class on just this. I mean, I feel like get into your craft, work for somebody else, know the industry before you ever, ever think about opening anything in it so that you can see what you're getting into, right? That's first and foremost. But when to really evolve your brand, I don't really think you have a clue who you are as your brand until probably about a year in. Um, and so that's why I said I was very lucid with my brand until then. But how to create a brand, and I think it's super easy. It is the easiest advice I can give anybody, and it is the least taken, right? Be yourself. That is your brand. Do not try to be anyone else. Do not try to act a certain way. Do not try to copy or not intimidate, imitate a way that you see success over here. Be you, and that is your brand. Like your brand evolves out of being you. And a lot of people are like, great, CeCe, they didn't tell me crap, right? Yes, it does. Like if you are a type A logistical goddess, right? Then that should come out in every post that you do. People should think that you are kind of a snarky bitch, right? Because of the way that you're like, da, 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 da. And don't care if that offends anybody, right? That needs to be staccato and static all through your design and the way you post and timeliness. Da, 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 da. People can just think you're rude. I don't care. That's who I won't run in my day as my planner. Do you see what I'm saying? Like embrace who you are. That is your brand. Do not try to soften it up and be the bride's best friend because that's what you see successful planners doing. Not everybody needs that, right? Do not be the floral designer that tries to do Preston Bailey along with trying to do like I can't even think of half the people that put two flowers in a bud vase. I don't know why I can't think of anybody's name and call it artwork. These are not the same things. You will not succeed at that. What do you do well? What makes your heart sing when you design? What do you give to your clients that nobody else can do as well as you? And it does not mean that you're the best designer. I am not the best designer. And I am one of the shittiest business runners. I'll just go and tell you that on my own. I am smart in hiring people to help me run successful businesses, right? But me personally was not built for that, right?
Yeah.
So when you deny who you are, you will never have an authentic brand ever. So you've got to figure it out. You've got to figure out what it is that is your flaw and figure out the best way to deter people from that and embrace what makes you special. What makes you, I am loud. I am over the top. I am energetic. I am about all the things. There are so many people who hate me. I'm okay with that. But the people that love me, like I said, I am their spirit whisperer. They would give $1 million if they had it because they love me so much because I am authentic. My brand is authentic. What I speak is even the way I occasionally cuss. Sorry, Corrine. Just everything that I do, I quit. That is part of my brand. So my advice to you in how to create a good brand, the only way to have a good brand is to be you, is to figure out what your strengths are. Never deny your weaknesses, ever own them and put them, like I said, flat billboard in the back, but like they're still there. Just make sure that your strengths are so much stronger that nobody really pays attention to your weaknesses, and promote that. Promote your power of how you can read a client, promote how you understand their vision, promote how you can speak a language to where brides understand where most floral designers don't, promote your selling process of how involved you get with them, promote that you always give more than they pay for, you over deliver, you like whatever it is that makes you unique. That is what you embrace, and you quit worrying about that it's different from everybody else, and you embrace that it's different from everybody else, and that is your selling point. That is what makes you unique, and that is what creates an iconic brand. Because let me tell you, every other Coke company after Pepsi and Coca-Cola ain't nobody ever heard of, right? Because they all just did the same exact thing. Then Dr. Pepper came out, and it was just like this crack acidness that I hate, but it's totally different, right? I mean, be different. It's okay. That's your brand. Embrace it. Quit trying to be like everybody else. That's my advice.
Yeah, well, I love it. And I think it's totally it's hard to like zero in sometimes to even know who you are, to even know like what is it that you stand for. So I think it's great advice to like start out like being kind of under the radar before you put it out there. I think it's really unfortunate when I see people or companies constantly rechanging their name because they're feeling like it's going to give them a different entrance into a different market or something. Or it's like they throw away, the 3,000 followers they built on this because they want to start a new channel or something and put it out there different. So I feel like there's so many things that we see people doing, and it's like, is that the right thing? But I guess it feels right in their heart. So I don't know if
I
you have
mean,
any
it
thoughts.
feels right in their heart. I mean, like I said, the trade-off is, I just said this. So like when I became myself, I turned a lot of people off, right? Making choices that feel like the right choice to you are always what you should do. That does not mean that they're always going to have positive outcomes, right?
It's things.
Shut your mouth. I love the bangs. That does not mean they're always going to have positive outcomes, but they are going to be a learning opportunity. They are going to shave off like bad things. People that are going to abandon you because you changed your name twice, we're going to abandon you anyways, right?
Hmm.
Don't change your name 7 times. Now you're just pissing people off, right? But how about instead of keeping on changing your name, how about you set yourself a goal that says, I ain't gonna change my name anymore for 5 years. And if 5 years, I feel like I still need to change my name, and a lot of people forget that the amount of FedEx wasn't always FedEx, it was Federal Express. And it evolved into FedEx for some reason. It has an arrow in the middle of it that most people don't realize is there, right?
Yeah.
you can evolve your brand and your name without just completely going and just changing it to something different. I mean, technically, my official name is CeCe Designs and Events because originally it was CeCe Designs. Then we realized that everybody thought that I was an interior designer because I started a business without knowing what I should like. These were errors that I made, right? Like nowhere my husband's on, and nowhere in my marketing brain of my husband did I tell anybody what I did. And he's like, this is a fail. Like nobody knows what you do. What do you design? Tabletops, homes, weddings, flowers. And I was like, oh, that was not clear, was it? No, it just sounded good, right? Because that was my nickname. So then it was CeCe Designs and Events because we had to put that moniker, whatever you want to call it, because people did like, okay, now I'm starting to get, and then it evolved to CeCe Designs and Events. And if you look at my business cards, it says weddings, events, something else. I don't even remember what the third one is because we had to put more descriptors under it because I did not pick the smartest name in the beginning, right? And if I ever wanted to sell it, like you said, probably not going to happen. Um, but I did in return open CeCe Decor at one point, and there have been other evolutions of CeCe, but now it's just CeCe Designs, right? I no longer say CeCe Designs wedding events and I can't remember my third one. Like, I don't say that anymore. So remember that if you create a name, instead of just chucking it, like throwing it out like the baby in the bathwater analogy, like, is there a way that you can just recreate the name, right? Without chucking it. Like if it was exquisite events spelled with a Q and now you're like, I don't know why I did that. That was a bad idea. Maybe you just shorten it to events, right? It's still exquisite events, but you just didn't toss it out. Like that's more, I think, the route that most people should take than just trying to change their name 15 times.
Yeah. And social media, do you feel like it's been really positive for you, I would imagine, like your entire experience on it. How often are you posting? Is that I
Um,
be way
well,
more, but I feel like in this evolution, maybe we're kind of just changing our rhythms and our daily habits. And I feel like that is a lot of like, oh, like for us, we post almost every day, but I'm like, well, how effective is it really? Like, are we meeting, people where they need us to meet them or that? Are we just pushing all this stuff out and making a lot of work for us behind the scenes? So we want to, ours always is the goal to be putting out great educational content or things people want to see. But
yeah.
how do you decide what is the right path or how often?
Um, I, well, to answer your question, I don't post near as much as I used to. I don't live near as much as I used
Yeah.
to. Like I said, in this, being known as the queen of lives, I sure have not lived a lot, right? And it's because I'm in this huge transition period of what am I going to do when I grow up? What does the future of CeCe Designs look like? We're relaunching CeCe School. We said we were going to do it in January, and just life got in the way, and then we were going to do it in February, and life got in the way, and you know, everybody keeps saying, "Oh my God, how awesome is it that you're being a stay-at-home mom?" I'm like, "Yeah, but last time I checked, stay-at-home mom doesn't pay anything." And in a career, I mean, in a world where everything costs 30 to 50% more and nobody got a 30 to 50% raise, that's a bad time to be like just staying at home momming. Okay. I mean, we about to start selling pictures of our feet. But
Getting your
um,
OnlyFans plural account. I mean, that
right.
would be
And
something
so, and
different.
my husband, who was my social media marketing manager, to like keep everybody afloat and keep everything going because I was the train, I was the financial load carrier. I tell people all the time, it costs 20, no, 50, somewhere between 15 to $20,000 a month prior to
Mm,
COVID to keep CeCe Designs running a month. All right. So that was a lot of food for the beast, right? That was, I mean, a lot. And so,
yeah.
but I mean, my family, we lived good, right? And so to not have that anymore, Greg started working at State Farm and he was going to become a State Farm agent. But yet again, in full transparency, starting at State Farm to become an agent when you're in your 40s, you know, isn't the best income kicker, right? So there's a lot of financial struggles trying to figure out what you're going to do, how to stay at home and be a mom without, I mean, I was gone all the time. So that being said, I don't feel like I have a lot. And this is my own, every now and then it still creeps in. That's my own inner demon saying, like, you don't really have anything to offer. Why even go live? And so I'm trying to get back to the point to where I am like, shut up, that's stupid. Just cut the camera on, right? Just cut the camera on because that's the way I used to do it. A lot of times I get more caught up in living up to my name that I've built than just being CeCe. I do
Mm,
have to worry about that. But I do feel like social media is still the beast that we have to feed. I do
yeah,
feel like posting every day will never damage you, right? It's only going to create positivity. We are in a world that we still are in an industry. You're a little bit different as details, right, than we are as floral designers, but we're in a one and done industry, right? People are
mm,
like, oh my God, you have 22,000 followers. I was like, yeah, but half of them are already married and don't care about me. Not half of them, but a lot of them are. Our
right.
brides are cyclical. They come into our feed and they go out of our feed. We're no longer important to them anymore. So in this industry,
Yeah.
it is very important. You have got to like, it's another reason why it's so tiring. You have constantly got to be casting the net and catching new people. And the only way you're going to get that is by like posting all the time and not just random, to kind of answer your question. Am I just creating work for myself? If it's mindless chatter, then yes. But my biggest advice to people is if you are answering, like, if in your posting you are answering a notable question that you either want to answer or regularly get asked, or entertaining, right? My two things are you either need to educate or entertain, right? These are the two things you need to do every time you post, everywhere: educate or entertain. And
Yeah.
so if you're posting just to be like, oh, we just need to put something up and it's just a picture and it
Well, I
means
think I feel
nothing,
that way, but
right?
I've
Then
got a great
no.
team behind me too that is like takes the reins on that. But it is, I mean, I see it as such an exhausting thing. I mean, it's a full-time job just maintaining the social media and then all the ripple effects of what that post then,
That's why my husband, it was his career, is just handling social media for me and other companies. I mean, it's a full-time job.
yeah, I mean, it really is. And it's it's a great strategy, but it is a lot of energy. And I feel like when you give a lot of yourself on the camera too, sometimes it can feel a little daunting. Or if you can't bring the energy, it's like, I can't even turn it on right now because I just can't bring it today. So
It is.
kudos to
And
you when you're always on so much.
yeah, and I see all these people on like TikTok and stuff like that, like at the beginning with their hair up in a clip and no real makeup on, giving great advice. And I'm like, I built this monster that I always have to look like I'm a full-blown drag queen with like full hair and makeup done, because I would probably love a lot more if I could just roll up out of bed with like all my grays sticking out, my hair in a top bun, and just be like, listen, this is what y'all need to be done in our business, right? But I mean, it takes a long time to put this together. And so some days I'm just like, not that I don't want to lie, it's just too much energy.
I know you gave it all to the makeup gods. Well, we have added something. It's a rapid fire questions, and I didn't send these to you in advance. But
Why?
would you participate in my rapid fire questions?
Absolutely.
At the end of the year, we're going to splice them all together, and then it's going to be like really fun of all the different
Okay.
guests we've had. So what is your favorite word in another language?
Oy vey.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
All the time. Something bad
Oy
goes
vey.
wrong. If I'm not using the four-letter word in our language, which is always my go-to, then
Yeah.
I'm using oy vey. Oh my God, I can't with y'all. Oy vey is
All
no.
right. What is your favorite drink of choice?
Mm. Prosecco, because you can drink it at 7 a.m. in the morning or midnight and nobody judges you.
I love it. Me too. What is your favorite flower?
Oh, that's like asking me who my favorite child is. Um, oh God, I have so many. Hellebore and Fritillaria are my two probably favorite types of flower because they're very unique, and I was well into my journey into flowers before I even realized they existed. But a Pink Floyd rose is the a live embodiment of what I wear in my hair daily. So I am a huge fan of getting, especially from my F and my family, when they send me Pink Floyd roses, because it's like a walking, like I really think they should just rename the Pink Floyd rose the CeCe, because that is my rose. Like that is what is iconic and I think best represents me. So that was like
I
three.
like it. It's all about that branding though, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I could pick for you, but tell me, what is your favorite season? Summer, winter, spring, or fall?
Fall. I'm in the South, baby.
Okay.
Fall.
All the oranges and autumn colors. I can't I guess you could throw hot pink in there during the
I
fall.
mean, yeah, I wear what I mean, hot pink ain't seasonal. Corrine, we wear it at 24/7. My bathing suits are pink and my scarves.
Okay.
Um, but I love fall. I just love everything about fall. Like fall weddings aren't necessarily my favorite, but I mean, just fall in general in the South. If I could live someplace that it felt like fall year round, that's when I'm happiest. I love football season, all the things. Love it.
I love it. Good. Morning or evening time?
Evening.
Oh,
Mm-mm. No, 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 no. We did 21 days of prayer through our church, Church of Highlands. You had to get up every morning at 6 a.m. and go pray and watch it on TV. And I was like, no, yeah. And everybody's like, well, that's great because it's going to create a habit. And then you'll start getting up earlier. And then it was like the day after 21 days of waking up that early, I was right back to like sleep until 9. I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. We did not create a habit.
okay. Are you more of a thinker or a doer?
Oh, I both. I mean, I
Yeah.
am, I will overthink the hell out of something. But when something just needs to be done, like I am the first person to jump into action. I mean, like if I roll upon a wreck or something like that, Greg will tell you there have been times I've just left the car running and I've jumped out. And Greg's like, where are you going? I mean, I just go. Like if there's action that needs to be done, I do not think, I just go. But then in the moments of just sitting here thinking about something that hasn't happened yet, I will think the crap out of it. So yeah, both, if that's a thing.
Yeah, I know. We might need to change that question to a dreamer or a doer. So,
Or ask people if this isn't on there, what's their Enneagram?
oh, yeah, I still need to do that. I don't know. I've forgotten
Correct.
my, I can't remember what it is. But I'm a Gemini, so there you go. Places you most want to travel. What is the place you most want to go to?
I'm gonna get very specific. It's not necessarily a place as much as it is a excursion. I've never really wanted to go on a cruise before because that just seen too many TikToks of what they look like and I'm just like, oh, I would murder people. But my mom travels a lot to Europe and does the low boat
Mm.
tours. And they're smaller boats that are like a cruise boat, but they're like very fancy, very top notch. And they go down like the Seine and like all the river intercoastal ways in Europe. And so there's one that goes from like Austria to Germany. And then you get off and you go on that beautiful train that goes over the French Alps. And
Mm.
so just that whole, like that is that's my jam. That's what we're working for right there.
Girls
Like
trip. I hear it in our future. I can see it now. We just have to.
I listen, don't think I ain't trying to find a way for them to have me come do something floral there just so I can go.
Yeah, I'm there with you. What's for dinner tonight?
Oh, anything out of a drive-through.
So you're not a baker or a chef.
I am a baker. I am absolutely a baker. I am not a cleaner upper.
Oh, okay.
I am
An
my
order.
husband loves my spaghetti. My husband loves my lasagna. Um, and I am a good cook. My mother is a great confection cook. But I hate to clean up. So I very rarely cook and it always comes from either a drive-through or Uber Eats.
Nice. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Mm. Honky Tonk Woman by the Rolling Stones, but I changed the lyrics.
Okay.
Or
Care
either
to?
Chain of Fools. Ooh, or
Oh,
Always on My Mind by Willie Nelson. Those are my three.
okay. I will ask you to do one of those one of these days. What is your hidden talent that no one knows except for Greg?
I can't say that on TV.
Okay.
Um,
I had feared that was coming when
you said no one knows but Greg. You kind of put a caveat on it. So, I mean,
no, what the heck? Uh,
hmm. I would say sing, but a lot of people know that. Um, hidden talent.
oh, I know. You're an ice skater.
I was a professional figure skater for like 13 years. Chris said ditto that. That's my girl. Yeah, I was a professional figure skater, skated with Walt Disney World on Ice. Um, all that for my younger years. Yeah.
We'll have to
Pretty
make it
good
a
dancer.
winter cruise where we stop off in the Alps and you do a little twirl and teach us
Yeah.
all how to.
I'll take my skates.
I'll
Let's do
go. What is your favorite dance move
it. Are we talking about like in my 20s favorite dance move
right
or
now?
like
Right now, what you got?
um I love a good spin. Just anything to like twirl around, a good, give me any calls. I don't care where we are for line dancing. I'll find a way to like put a little swirl in there. Every time we go bowling, I do like a quadruple pirouette and like land it like I just did the best. Land. I'm a spinner. I love to spin. So probably that.
Okay, good. And what would be your superpower if you could have one?
Hmm. The ability. Ooh, there's two. I don't know. I don't know if I'd have the ability to slow down time, get any like speed travel because then I would always be on time, or maybe I'd still be late. Who knows? Or just be able to just like make money appear for no reason. Now
Oh,
those
he
are
said
kind of all up there.
connector.
My husband says, now I am a great connector. That is my I don't know if he's saying that that's my superpower or my hidden skill, but I am queen connector. There's nothing I probably enjoy more than coming across one human being that does this and another human being that needs this. And I'm like, oh, oh, okay. So y'all, here's you, here, there. Y'all go woo, and do things.
Yeah,
Like that is
yeah.
like
That
gives me
gives me
so
good,
much.
great pleasure too. So when you're like, I did that, and then
I,
you
I
like,
like see that right there. I made that happen
that
right
was
there.
me.
And
Yeah.
I'll tell everybody. I'll be like, I had that. That's fine.
I know. I introduced a couple and they've just had their second child, and I'm like, that was me. That's my baby.
Well, I really suck at couples, but I really am great at business ideas or like people
Oh,
helping each other. But maybe I should get better at couples.
yeah. Well, that we could have a Netflix, series or something. Um,
Oh, now that we need.
yeah. Well, I've loved talking to you. If anybody wants to connect with you afterwards, how can they reach out to you, CeCe?
Oh, just call me at home. My number. No, I'm just kidding. The best way to find me is always by going and following me on all my social media platforms. Definitely TikTok. I'm trying to build up my TikTok. I am CC Designs CC on TikTok. But the best place to get a lot of information about me is by going to my Instagram, which of course CC Designs LLC. You can't miss me, pink flower in my hair. But on my God, what's that little thing called? That
Byline,
now the link
link in bio.
link tree. Yeah, we're
Oh,
getting there. I have a link tree there. Yep, there's my husband dropping it all in. I have a link tree there that'll tell everybody like how you can get one-on-one calls with me, getting on the list for CC school, making sure you know when that card's open, pretty much all the things. And then you can always find a link to my website. Everything's there.
lovely. Well, I love you, and I'm so
I
glad
love you.
to end this.
And I'm so happy to be part of the Details family. I can't tell you how happy it has made me making this transition and being here. Like, I just didn't realize what I didn't have for the past 7 or 8 years. I really didn't until I came over here. And I literally love everything about how Details works, the family that you've curated there, how awesome y'all are. Just the experience that you have working with Details as opposed to anybody else. It's just one of a kind. And I just can't thank you enough. Everything, I mean, I hate that it took so long, but
Yeah,
everything happens for a reason and it's time. And I'm so thankful to be here. And I just love getting to know you and have this time together and having y'all as my like ride or dies.
yeah. Well, we've really enjoyed spending this last wedding MBA with you. We went out to the where did we go?
The
That
Vanderhouse Pump place and
Yeah,
had all the
that was
drinks.
amazing. And I had just so much fun. And I think your energy is really contagious and you just are a joy. So I know that this next set of CeCe designs is going to be just out of this world wonderful. And we cannot wait to see what CeCe School has in store. Can you hear my train? It's rolling by. But
Oh, lovely.
what do we have to say? Thank you. Chris, you're great. So
I love
she's
you, Chris.
she
Thanks.
asked. Yeah. If anybody has any questions, you can always email CeCe and connect with her online. And if you have any questions about this, we're going to be posting this replay on our website, on our blog. And thank you, CeCe. This has been great.
You're welcome. And I also wanted to say, if y'all know that, if y'all have anything that y'all want for me, reach out to Corrine and let us know. Like, I love coming here and talking about all the things. So if there's something you want to learn, if there's something that you want to know, reach out to Corrine and let her know. Like, these are things that I would love to learn more about, because I am always one to just come here and give all the time that I have to you fabulous friends and educate anybody who wants to listen. So I'm here for it. But I love you.
I love you too. That's awesome. Thank you guys. And we will see you next month. We are having Kay's Flower School from Ireland pop on as guests. So tune in for that and more information coming soon. But thank you, CeCe. Have a great rest of your day. And
You too.
yeah. All right.
Thanks, everyone.